What to do, everybody? Y'all know how we've been getting down over here. We've been talking about the new methods, the new scams. A lot just been going on. We talked about the iPhone method, card cracking, swiping method. We talked about a lot. So in today's video, we get right to it. We're talking about these bank loan scams. Now, a lot of people out there be trying to get bank loans and start businesses and get loans, credit cards, lines of credit. Listen, the main objective of all this is to get some money. Is basically people look at it as free money, and it's a lot of different ways that people utilize the information that comes with this to be able to attain some type of way to get some money. So hold on, let me make sure y'all can hear me and all that. Hold on, change the mic. All right, we're good to go now. So bank loan scams. Now, when it comes to getting loans, everything is surrounded around CPNs or identity theft. Now, in order to get a loan, you have to have a credit profile. If you don't have a credit profile with a credit score, you're not getting any loans. Nobody's getting any loans in general on a personal or the business side. So the thing that comes with loans is that a lot of people are starting to use these pre-built CPNs, and we all know what pre-built CPNs are: stolen identity. So there are a lot of different banks that have a lot of different protocols, that have a lot of different systems that are in tech. So the bank loan scams is just basically like this. So the fraudster or the scammer will get some type of fool, some type of profile. And like I told you guys before, there are many ways that scammers or fraudsters obtain this information. Dark web, there are businesses that hold our personal information that get compromised on a daily basis. There's just a lot going on in today's world, and people don't understand how easy it is and how vulnerable a lot of people are in this world. We are vulnerable, and depending on what type of security databases you have set up, will help you from becoming a victim of this game. Now, ever since COVID-19, everybody want to get a loan, credit card, or line of credit and get into the credit game. Everybody want to talk about this bank, that bank, this bank, that loan, that loan. More people have learned about the loan game. And since they learned about the loan game, they see you can get a lump sum of money at one time. And they see how you can obtain this loan is by utilizing a credit profile. Now they have bad credit loans, they have moderate credit loans, they have good credit loans. They have documentation loans, and they have no documentation loans. They have bad credit bidder loan programs. They have a lot of different credit. They got a lot of different loan programs out there, and a lot of different credit cards. But like I said, people learn the system. And once they learn the system, they utilize it. So a scammer, let's say a scammer utilizes some way to get some type of information, some type of fools or pros, some type of somebody's information. And like I told you guys before, there are many marketplaces on the dark web that sells a lot of different financial services. And there are a lot of different news sites that are popping up on the dark web that also sells a lot of different financial services. And they also have websites on the dark web that are basically CPN generators. Now, we're going to dive in deep into this video because a lot of people ask me a lot of different things about CPNs and how do people get loans and this and that, right? So when it comes to CPNs, there are CPNs and there are pre-built CPNs. Pre-built CPNs is basically stolen identity, but there are a lot of people out there that think a CPN is stolen identity. So they just think a CPN is stolen identity when a CPN is synthetic identity. So basically, somebody finds a number that has not been issued, and they utilize this number, and they basically recreate their own identity. So everything on that profile will be the same name, the same birth date, same everything. Only the number and the address will be different because you don't want to. It's a lot of people in the world that have the same name, and you'll be surprised how many people in the world have the same name. So that's what makes it easy for people to utilize or create these synthetic identities because there's not a one-on-one person in this world. There are probably hundreds of people in the world with the same name. So by being like that, it's not uncommon for somebody to have your name and a mistake to happen. So, like I said, they find these numbers, they utilize their information, they change the name, I mean, they changed. Only thing that they changed is the address. The number is already different, and that's it. They utilize all the same information, their own information. They build the credit profiles on these, and then they start going. But now, due to fraud GPT sites, they have sites on the dark web that are basically CPN generators. And on these sites, you could basically put in the name, put in the birth date, and it'll generate information, or it'll generate a tri-merged CPN for you. Not a pre-built CPN, but a CPN. And there, like I said, there are many sites on the dark web. There are many different marketplaces, from the Amazon market, the Vortex market, Vice City market, Dark Fox market, White House market. They got the World market, the Mega market, the Cipher market, Alpha Bay market, the ASAP market, the Torres market, the Empire market, the Nemus market. They have so many different markets and websites. They got Dark GPT, Demon GPT, AIM GPT, so many different. Identicon. Now, I talked about Identicon on a video, and Identicon is a site on the dark web that's basically a CPN generator. So a lot of people see, this is what people have to understand. When things are first created, there's going to be bugs. Like, so people in this new generation figured out that there are numbers out here, and we all know what numbers are, social security numbers that have not been issued. And once they once people figured that out and found that out, their brains got to working. And now they're saying, well, if I can get a new social security number, I can have a new credit profile, and everything else that I had on my old one won't be tied to this one, which is true. But synthetic identities have been going on for a very long time. Now, you do have people out there that might find deceased people utilize children's social security numbers, or they might find homeless people and utilize their social security numbers, because a homeless person, they're not going to come looking for you. A kid, they're not going to come looking for you. A baby, they're not going to come looking for you. Now, people got to understand, there are a lot of parents out there that probably have utilized a CPN before. If any of you guys as parents ever got any type of bill in your name as a kid, they utilized a CPN. And all they did was they utilized your number, and apply for some type of credit. Might be an energy bill, might be a phone bill, might be a water bill, some type of bill. So that's a new way that a lot of people are starting to create these CPNs to be able to go into the bank and get loans, credit cards, and lines of credit because of these fraud GPT sites. And Identicon is a site. Like I tell you guys before all the time, dark websites are not www blah blah blah.com. No, there are long encrypted addresses that look like Bitcoin addresses with .onion at the end. And these sites cannot really be promoted on the clear net. It's really forbidden. So that's why it's hard for people to really find real sites, because you can't post these sites on the clear net. So if it's not in a place where hundreds and thousands and millions of people can see it, it's gonna be hard for people to find it on the clear net. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna be hard. So people are starting to utilize these sites on the dark web to get new numbers, new profiles, get them tri-merged, because the site will tell you everything. The site will tell you how it was tri-merged, what it's tri-merged with, what accounts it has, and it'll also let you know that it is a credit score generated under. And a lot of people are starting to understand that, just like how phones were jailbroken, computers can be jailbroken. Systems, softwares, databases, servers, all these things are man created. And if ChatGPT is creating anything and everything that we're commanding it to do, what do you think a jailbroken ChatGPT can do? And that's what it's doing. People are finding the code to these ChatGPT sites, jailbreaking them, and making them to fraud GPT sites. And depending on which place that a fraudster or a scammer goes to, because every fraud GPT site is just not just top notch. Some of them are good, some of them are not. It just all depends on that person's knowledge, what they want coded on that site, and what they want on that site. Everybody doesn't have the same knowledge. Everybody doesn't have the same vision. So it's just all about what that person wants. So when it comes to doing these bank loans, it starts with identity because you have to have a credit profile. And if some people really don't care about what type of identity they have, to be honest, most people utilize stolen identities when it comes to this method right here because they don't have time and they don't know where to go to get certain things like this created on the dark web. And they thinking as if, okay, why waste time? Why go through months and months to build this credit profile just to get a $10,000 loan when I can buy this information, go apply for a loan, change some things up, and get approved and take the money off the bank within a couple of days? People move fast. People don't want to wait anymore. People want the money today, tomorrow, and yesterday. So once they figured out that you can utilize somebody else's credit profile to get these loans, that's what they started doing. So you got this. So let's say the scammer has this credit profile. They walk into all these different banks. Now the trick is research. A lot of the scammers do their research, and what I mean by do their research is they go to they call different banks. They search different banks and say, okay, where does this bank pull from? Do they pull from TransUnion, Equifax, or Experian? Because that will play a part into a lot of different things. If this credit profile can get a long credit card, a line of credit, they can get more. And a lot of people don't know that. You have an X amount of number of times that you can pull from a credit profile or a credit bureau and get loans. So let's say this Navy Federal Bank pulls from TransUnion, they give me a $50,000 loan. I can go to another credit union that pulls from Equifax, and this loan right here won't pop up. And a lot of people are double dipping loans with other people's credit profiles with these quote unquote pre-built CPNs. So this is the information that people are finding. So they find different banks, they do the research. They say, okay, this bank has a Visa signature card. Okay, this bank has this bank has that. They go on the dark web or however way that they find these different profiles. They use that profile. Now some sites also offer like Identicon. And I talk about Identicon a lot because Identicon will create and try merge. They would create the CPN for you, and they will also create documentations for you. So by you having all the documentations and the IDs and everything is from real government places, or they look like it, because those documentations you wouldn't be able to tell if it was from the real building, the real place, or if you would think it came from the real place. If it's not coming from it, you would think it was. So I'm talking about they're pretty good. I've seen them. So they create all this IDs, social security cards, birth certificates. They create all these things for people, and people go in there and they buy them. It's just different package deals. So if you just want to, if you want to create it, that's one package. If you want to create it with the documentations, that's another package. So it's just all about what the fraudster or the scammer wants. So they go in there, they buy whatever they want. So most of the time they get the full package. So they got the IDs and the documentations because people know that you can apply for loans and credit cards and open up bank accounts over the computer or over from your phone. You don't even have to go in a bank anymore. So that's making it even easier for scammers and fraudsters to be able to do these things because of that process right there. So if somebody's opening up a bank account with somebody else's identity, they're just giving them, they're just plugging in information and sending over pictures of fake IDs and emails and things like that, and they're getting approved. And then people are trying to figure out about the check system and what banks don't pull from the check system. Like it's a lot that goes in doing research that a lot of these scammers and fraudsters do to be able to approve to get these things done. So they get the identity, they go on the internet, they open up bank accounts. They don't go on in the bank. They don't go in the bank to open up a bank account. They don't go in the bank to apply for a loan. They don't go in the bank to apply for a card. They do everything over the phone, over VPNs and SOCs and proxies and DNSs and all these things to protect their location so no trace. So basically, so nothing will trace back to them. And they do it in the middle of the night because a lot of time, a lot of banks go through maintenance and their system will be shut down. So if you do it around a certain time, the scammer and the fraudster knows that it'll be easier for the application to be pushed through. So once they apply, they get approved, and now they have this bank account. By that credit profile having a certain score on it allows them to be able to apply for certain Visa personal signature cards. Now, if somebody has a 750 credit score, they might be approved for an $8,000, $10,000 personal Visa signature credit card. And with these credit cards, you can get cash advances. So you got to think about it. If you apply for a credit card over the phone, from your phone or a computer, and you get approved and they send the card out, you still haven't went inside the bank. The scammer or the fraudster never went inside the bank, so they're not on camera doing anything. Now it's all based off IP addresses and paper trail. And this is what they're understanding. So they're sending these um credit cards to the different drop addresses. Now, what people are doing is they're starting to get more smart and clever. They're starting to say, okay, let me find somebody's fruals or pros that is in close proximity of where I am, in my area, in my city, because it'll be easier for cards to be sent out because a lot of people know cards are only sent to the address that's on your profile. So if you're having a card from a fraudulent card sent to this account or this bank account, I mean, to this address, that's that person's address, just gonna look suspicious. You going into somebody else's mailbox, but they're sending them to different drop addresses to prevent all that, and you can get cash advances. So you got a $10,000 Visa Syndicate credit card, you can get a cash advance for $10,000, $9,000, $8,000, and just imagine having, because also just like loans, credit cards, you have 3 to 4 pulls on each bureau. So if I go to Navy Federal, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, where the scammer or the fraudster goes to these banks and they get a credit card from each one. Now they got 4 credit cards under Experian, 4 credit cards under Equifax, 4 credit cards over under TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. So that's 12 cards at $10,000. That's $120,000 that they just got utilizing this pre-bill CPN. So these bank loan methods and bank methods are starting to get more sophisticated, more clever. There are more loopholes that starting to become getting the bank, and people are starting to understand how things work, how technology works. Because without technology, none of this will be possible. Technology allows us to deposit checks from a phone, deposit checks from the ATM. Technology allows us to be able to apply for certain things, even have websites to go to. Technology allows us to send and receive money from Cash App, Venmo, Zelles, and PayPal and different applications. And this is what people are starting to understand and realize. They start to create methods to surround and revolve them and benefit from them. So these bank loan methods are getting fairly easy, fairly more people are starting to do them because of how easy it is for people to get information, pros, fools, how easy the process is for people to can apply for a loan credit card, a line of credit over the computer, how easy it is for people to get send over a fake picture of a fake ID due to Photoshop and different applications. It's just making it easier for the scammers and the fraudsters in the dark world and the dark web. So it's just all about being more safe, being more cautious, and being more aware. Because if you don't got this information, you could potentially become a victim, and nobody wants to become a victim. All right, so make sure you guys are staying more safe, staying more cautious, and being more aware of what's going on in this real crazy world. And like I said, you know how we get down over here in this channel. I'll see you at the next method. Peace.